Hello, everyone. This is Crystal Culpepper here. I'm the IB coordinator and counselor here at Paxton School for Advanced Studies. This slideshow is going to present you with a little bit more information about the CAS or Creativity Action Service requirement for the students that are in grades 11 and 12 of the IB program. First thing I wanted to just make sure everybody was aware of is that in addition to the academic requirements as far as courses for the IB program, CAS is also a mandatory component for completion of the IB program of study. As you can see here, the student progression plan on page 96 of the 2011-2012 student progression plan, it states here at the bottom that CAS is a part of a student's graduation requirement that is on the IB program of study. Before I get started, I just wanted to clear up some terminology that may be used so that you can understand who is in charge of doing what. The CAS coordinator is the person who handles the overall functioning of the student's CAS program, and that would be myself, Mrs. Culpepper, at this point in time. So I will generally be coordinating all CAS activities and assisting students with that. CAS advisors are people that students will go to get their CAS activities approved. Right now, I will be serving as a CAS advisor, as well as Mrs. Mullen. She's the IB prep counselor for grades 9 and 10, but she's also going to be helping to approve CAS activities. And this is just done online, and it's also a person that you can come in and talk to if you have questions about activities that you're thinking about. The supervisor is the person who is overseeing your actual activity. So, for instance, if you're doing something with theater, perhaps Ms. Chapman, the theater teacher, would be your supervisor. Or if you are tutoring somewhere else or at an outside organization, there should be somebody that is supervising your CAS activity and can vouch that you're actually doing what you're saying that you're doing. Now, some people ask, why is CAS so important? And the major thing is because you are more than just a GPA. Colleges have always said that they would like to see a well-rounded student. They don't want to just see a brain on a stick. They want students to do more. So the purpose is really to allow students to become more reflective thinkers, meet new challenges. It helps you to become more involved in your community. And it also adds to you being a more balanced individual. How can CAS benefit you as a student? Hopefully, it will help to enhance your own personal development. And because your CAS activities should be things that you would want to be doing anyway, it kind of counterbalances your academics. And it should be something that's not only challenging but enjoyable for you to do. Now, in order for you to truly benefit from CAS, because we don't want you to just be doing something just for nothing, your CAS activities should be purposeful and meaningful activities. It should present a challenge. It shouldn't be just something that's mundane that you're just going through the motions and doing. And because of that, you have to give some thought to what you will be doing by planning. You'll be reflecting on your progress, and you'll be documenting your activities by reflecting on your experiences, and you'll be uploading some things on the ManageBag website, which I'll get to in a moment. Now, within your CAS program, over the course of your junior and senior year, you have to make sure that you have met all of these 8 outcomes. Doesn't mean that each CAS activity has to have all 8 in them. It just means that throughout your CAS activities that you're documenting, you are taking on one or more of these outcomes so that by the time you're a senior and you finish with your CAS program, you have at least touched on each of these 8 outcomes at least one time. In order for you to be able to have your CAS requirement checked off and say that you have completed CAS for IB, this has to be documented. Also, your CAS activities are going to be done for a minimum of 18 months. And your CAS activities do not begin until first day of junior year. This means that anything that you've done in 9th or 10th grade for community service, you would document it and follow the same procedures as students that are on the AP honors program here at Paxton. Everybody is the same in 9th and 10th grade. It is not until first day of junior year that you will start documenting your CAS activities, and you have to have activities to meet these 8 different outcomes. So please keep that in mind. Now, just to kind of break down what each segment of the creativity, active, and service components entail. For creativity, a lot of students may be involved in the arts. Some of those activities may be things that can count towards creative hours. However, it should be something that is extending the student. You have to have a personal goal in whatever activity you're doing, whether it's creative, active, or service, but it shouldn't be just more of the same. For instance, if you play an instrument, practicing the piano is not going to be something that counts for CAS. However, if you're working on a piece that you've never tried before and you're trying to accomplish being able to play this musical selection, that's different. You have to have a goal in what it is that you're wanting to do. Action involves anything that will be contributing to a healthy lifestyle, or it has some physical aspect to it. Again, and it's not just more of the same. A lot of students that are on a particular sports team or participate in athletics, whether it be in school or out of school, they choose to set a goal when they're accomplishing that activity to count towards CAS. For instance, maybe you want to improve your time. Maybe you know what the time for the person who won the Olympic gold medal in your sport was, and you want to try to match that time as closely as possible. That is a goal. That is something that can count towards action. Something that will not count towards action, an example was when students give tours. Yes, you're walking, but it's not going to count as action because it is not something that is contributing really to a healthy lifestyle or physical exertion. That's not the purpose of giving a tour. So please be careful when you're documenting active hours. Service, we are pretty much all familiar with service. Students have to have a real responsibility. It cannot just be a mundane or a repetitive activity. So for instance, let's say you're volunteering at the library. Shelving books, that's not going to count as CAS because you're not going to be able to show how you're growing from that activity. You have to have a personal goal in mind, and it should be something that's going to help others. It cannot be paid, and it cannot be for a family member. There are some changes with CAS where there is not a set 150 hours, 50 for each category anymore. It is going to be approximately 150 hours. So students just need to make sure that you have a reasonable balance between each area. I don't want to see a student doing 100 hours of active and then maybe only 10 hours of creative and 10 of service. That's not going to be something that's acceptable. Also, please keep in mind that the hours logged under service are going to count towards Bright Futures. Now, Bright Futures count service hours from 9th through 12th grade. So if you do community service in 9th and 10th grade, that will count for Bright Futures, as well as for your CAS. Anything that is documented under the service category will count for CAS. Something I just wanted to mention is that your attitude with doing your CAS activities has a huge effect on how you're going to actually achieve your goals that you have set in mind. So please make sure that you have a focus for what you're doing. You should be trying to undertake at least one long-term project, and if you have not joined the IB Student Association, I highly suggest doing that because within that club we're going to be working towards making it easier for you to have access and interact with other students on planning these long-term activities. And with your CAS requirement, we would like for you to have most of it completed by the end of the fall semester of your senior year. Now, CAS activities, they should be activities that you, the student, are initiating yourself. However, as a school, we might have some activities that are put into place that you can interact in that will count towards CAS. For instance, when we do the magnet and IB recruitment, we recruit volunteers for that, or the James Weldon Johnson tutoring sessions. That is something that the school initiates, but it can also count towards CAS activities as well for you to be able to count. Now, some things that are not CAS, just want to point out, anything that's already a part of the IB Diploma program, it is not going to count as CAS. Any work where you receive a financial award or a grade will not serve as a CAS project as well. I've already mentioned the repetitiveness, that's not going to count. Also, religious worship and activities associated with religious worship will not count towards your CAS requirement. We have to be very careful because the International Baccalaureate Organization is worldwide. We can't promote any one religion over another. Family duties, I'm sorry to tell you, you will not get CAS hours for babysitting your siblings or your cousins, so that is not going to count for CAS. An adult has to be present, and an adult needs to be at least 18 years or older, non-family member. And any kind of passive pursuit. We want you to go to the museums and concerts and sporting events, but simply being at something like that is not going to count for CAS. Your CAS responsibilities are, as a student, at the beginning of your junior year, there is a initial self-review that's going to be completed by you on your own. And you're going to meet with me just to kind of go over what you've already been doing, what can count for CAS, and some ideas for the future. And throughout your CAS program, you're going to be planning and reflecting on your activities. You're going to meet with myself and or your CAS advisor at least twice during each school year so that we can make sure that you're on target with what needs to be accomplished. And you will also undertake at least one long-term project. ManageBack is a software that we use. It's online. It's the software that we use to track CAS projects, and students are able to enter all of their CAS information on this website. And I'm going to go over that information in the next session.